All right, welcome to another edition of Big Ten in 10, where we talk to some former Big Ten player greats and coaching greats. And it just so happens that she checks off both of those lists, a player great and hopefully a coaching great too. Current head coach at Minnesota, right? Give the thumbs up, Lindsay Whalen and Christy Winters-Scott with us as well.
I was having my fingers crossed for coaching.
I'm already projecting you into all-star coaching status. You see what I did there?
Well, okay, speak it into existence then, Lisa. I'll take it.
I want you to put on your going back in memory sort of hat on, and let's first kind of revisit you as a Minnesota player. I know when you walked into the university and into the program, there wasn't a whole lot of success. And then by the time you left, you got to a Final Four. Take us back through maybe the steps it took to turn the corner and find unprecedented success that the program has ever seen.
Yeah, well, I think that first year coming in, we really struggled, and it was a year of adversity. I think we won 8 games. We're 8-22. We were done in February. We lost our first round conference game. We were done in February. I remember saying we didn't even make it to March. We didn't even make it to March to the conference tournament. We would have, if we would have made it to won a game, we would have at least made it to March. So that year was tough, but I felt like we had a transfer who was sitting out in Corinne Von Wald. We had a really talented freshman in Janelle McCarville coming in the next year. I felt like the players we did have, we had some bad injuries that year as well. So we all felt like if we could, get some players healthy and get, a couple, Corinne to be able to play, I felt we had talented players, and then it took, Brenda coming in to really put us into a position where we could be successful. And she taught us how to win and how much fun winning is. And then that year we flipped it, went 22-8, went to the NCAA tournament, made it to the second round. And then, the next year went to the Sweet 16, eventually a Final Four. So, I always tell, people, you almost have to go through a year or so of adversity before you can really, I guess, appreciate and achieve success in anything. Everywhere I've been, that first year has been pretty tough. But you stick with it and you figure out as a team, as an organization, what you need to do to fix the issues. And then, you have really talented people and you work hard. And really cool things can happen. So yeah, it was something you couldn't have predicted when, I came in as a freshman or my teammates came in that we could turn this thing around and do what we did. But, a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice by a lot of people made it happen.
Lindsay, what was the emotion like when the buzzer went off and you knew that you had qualified for the only Final Four appearance for Minnesota back in 2004?
Yeah, I just, going into that game, every game that even when we did lose to UConn in the Final Four, we went in with confidence. We felt like we just had something, we had a team that we knew we were talented, but everybody knew their role. Everybody knew what they expected, and they knew that person was going to bring that, Shannon Bolden was our defensive stopper. Certainly wasn't me. So we put her on, Elena Beard in that game. The game before we put her on Amber Jacobs. So, Janelle McCarville, we knew she was a double-double. I was coming off of a hand injury, but, I was going to whatever I had to do. I think against Boston College, I had 15-8. Against Duke, I, had 27 that game. We knew Shannon Schoenrock was going to hit every open three and get us into our offenses, So Khadijah Anderson going to hit a high post jumper and defend, and then run and then sprint the floor. So it was like a group that just everybody knew what they were going to get out of each other, and it was just a matter of, okay, we know they're going to make some runs, but we knew what we were going to be able to do, and I don't know. The biggest thing was I was like, well, we get to cut down a net, and then we went to go find the water jug to throw it on Pam. So that was also on my thought process. And it was cool that that game, my parents were there. And then it was, stuff you dream of. I came to the U partly because I watched our men's team go to the Final Four in 1997. And I saw us go to the Final Four and, have this huge celebration at the barn when they got back from winning that Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four. And I was like, I want to do that, And then so it was figuring out, the Final Four and, getting back to campus and then kind of preparing for the next few days. It was just an unbelievable feeling.
When you look back at your playing career as a whole, and I know you don't have a whole lot of free time on your hands to just sit and think about your playing career, but there has to have been moments in your life where you have been grateful. Take us through those moments and just kind of share with us what's gone through your mind when you've had just maybe a second or two to think about all that you've accomplished as a player.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's been some time to reflect during COVID because we've had so much time at home. I went back and watched a lot of our games in the Olympics because like you play every other day. So you never have time to really go back and watch even the video. I mean, Gino would, he'd pull video if we weren't doing what he wanted, but it was like, well, now we have to play Serbia. Well, now we have to play Turkey. Well, now we have to play, honestly, like both times we won a gold medal at the Olympics of the teams that I was on, my parents were at both games. So I just remember those national anthems and, you said grateful that your parents get to be there and experience that with you. So, it's definitely fun to look back and grateful to have this job. And as hard as this has all been and as tired as everybody is from, COVID and just everything that comes with it, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I love this team, this university, and it's like, I'm grateful for this job that I get to still do. And a lot of people don't have that same opportunity. Even losing a tough game the other night, it's like, there's nothing else I would want to do than, watch the video and prepare the team the next day, So yeah, the amount of time that we've all had to kind of just be and unfortunately, sit and outside of learning like how to cook and bake and do all those things that everybody's done in this pandemic, this gives time for reflection, which has been nice. And now that we have basketball games, I'm grateful for my BTN subscription because I get BTN and I get BTN Plus where I get to watch games every night. And I'm very excited even this evening to go watch a couple games.
And you were in the WNBA, and the WNBA has always spearheaded positivity, unity, and inclusivity. How has that approach from playing in the WNBA and leading the force in that regard carried over to your role now as a head coach and mentor for these young women?
When Philando Castile was killed here in Minnesota and Elton Sterling in Simone's hometown, we wore our social justice shirts as coaches for that first game. I hope it's, to help my players to be able to use their voice in whatever way that they can to affect change in a really positive way. So we had Simone Augustus come on. We've had Sylvia Fowles, Natasha Cloud. I've tried to speak on some of my experiences. Coaches have as well on like, how can we help you guys? And then obviously this summer was, on Memorial Day weekend was incredibly hard in being here in Minnesota when the murder of George Floyd happened. And it was 10, 15 minutes from campus, 10, 15, 20 minutes from where we all live. And, and obviously, somebody was killed and there's a family that has to, manage that and deal with that. But it's like, it hit home for all of us. And, just the fact that it was here in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, how can we, first of all, that's not how, I'm from here and that's not how we're brought up to like do things and act. So it was incredibly, disheartening and frustrating and all those things. But how can we empower our young women to, stand up for what they believe in, stand up for the right thing. So I think that was something that was a huge initiative this whole summer. And it has been for years, right? Because this has been going on for centuries. So but how can we help our young women in the next generation to be able to continue to work for the change, for the right things?
Well, certainly, Lindsay, then in 2020, with everything that we've talked about and how heavy this year has been, I always could count on an uplifting message sometime when I take my phone and I look at my social media and there's Lindsay Whalen's account with your character Gentry.
Evening, y'all. Gentry here. Well, I can hardly believe it's Friday. It almost feels like yesterday was Thursday and the day before was Wednesday, y'all. Man, for some reason now, these days just feel like they're running together. Whew, I wonder why.
And it's hilarious. Like, why, when and where and why did you come up with Gentry?
Okay, so, and I need to do more because I haven't done it in a while, People are like, we needed more in 2020. We need to laugh, so I need to get back on that. But so it was 2017 WNBA, like that summer. I had never had Snapchat before, and my sisters and brothers are always talking about the Snapchat. I was like the generation, I was more like, Facebook and then Instagram. Snapchat was like later for me, But then I got it because then I could communicate with my brothers, because that was pretty much the only way you're going to get in touch with my brothers. At least my sisters would always text me back, but my brothers would just send Snapchats and pictures. So I was like, okay, let me get it. And then, you kind of start goofing around with it and looking at different things and filters and such. And then I saw this one, and I liked how the voice changed, and it just makes you look totally different and in a really funny way. And I felt like that filter, it was Gentry. You could kind of go with a little Southern, little twang. And so I just kind of started sending that, like doing my Gentry just post to my family. And then it just kind of went from there. And then I just was doing it throughout the playoffs. And then we had a couple tough games. So I just posted it and I was like, let's just see what happens here. And it was like, I was kind of doing a running, it's a running stream of conscious, just, of something that would happen that day, whether it's a flight, travel, a bus, the air conditioning at the hotel, somebody being loud at a hotel, like my husband not refilling the coffee machine. And it just kind of went from there. Bad turbulent flight, talk about it as Gentry. And I was almost doing like a daily blog post. I guess that would be vlog, video log of, as Gentry. And honestly, like my teammates started watching it and then everybody was laughing. It just kind of it was during the finals when we beat LA that last time. It kind of really eased the mood. I mean, you're just in such intense games and moments and film sessions and shoot arounds. And when you play 5 games, it lasts 2 weeks, the final. So I started posting after game 1 we lost, and it honestly, like everybody kind of got a kick out of it. And I kind of did it a lot off and on. And I just haven't as often now, and I need to get back to it. That's something. Yes, I'll get random tweets from people saying, I just really needed Gentry today. I had a hard day. And so I might just have to do one tonight now, Lisa, that you remind me of it.
I would encourage you to do that. I mean, we all need more Gentrys in our lives. So Lindsay Whalen, thank you for sharing some great stories with us. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Big 10 and 10.